A tree assessor versus tree manager. Who owns the risk? Most people think the arborist is the one who decides whether a tree stays or goes. That's not actually true. And if you're a practicing arborist, a consultant, or a municipality employee, misunderstanding this distinction can expose you to serious professional and legal risk. In tree risk assessment, there are two distinct roles: the tree assessor and the tree manager. They are not the same person by default. They do not carry the same responsibility, and confusing the two is one of the most common professional mistakes in our industry. Let's break this down clearly. First, the tree assessor. The tree assessor's job is to evaluate risk. That's it. Their role is technical, objective, and structured. A tree assessor collects data, they inspect the tree, they identify defects such as decay, cracks, root plate issues, poor structure, or site conditions. They assess the likelihood of failure, they assess the likelihood of impact, and they assess the consequences if failure occurs. Then they combine those factors to assign a risk rating. That risk rating is a professional opinion based on observable evidence and industry methodology. The tree assessor documents findings, they describe targets, they outline site use, they explain limitations, and they provide recommendations to reduce risk. But here's the critical boundary. The tree assessor does not decide what level of risk is acceptable. They do not authorize removal. They do not approve mitigation budgets. They do not set policy. They do not determine whether a moderate risk is tolerable for that specific site. They inform the decision. They do not own the decision. That distinction protects the arborist's objectivity and keeps the assessment defensible. Now let's talk about the tree manager. The tree manager is the person or entity that controls the site or the tree. That could be a homeowner, a property manager, a facilities director, a municipality, a school district, or a corporate landowner. The tree manager makes the final decision. They determine what level of risk is acceptable based on site use, occupancy patterns, budget, policy, and risk tolerance. They decide whether to prune, monitor, restrict access, install support systems, or remove the tree. They authorize the work, they allocate the funding, they implement the mitigation, they hold responsibility for action or inaction. The tree manager owns the risk. Let me give you a simple analogy. The tree assessor is like a doctor who diagnoses a condition and explains the risks and treatment options. The tree manager is the patient who decides whether to proceed with surgery, take medication, or accept the risk. The doctor provides expert evaluation, and the patient makes the decision. If you blur those lines, you create confusion and potential liability. Here's why this distinction matters. From a legal standpoint, defensibility depends on role clarity. If an arborist steps outside the assessor role and makes management decisions without authority, they can inadvertently assume responsibility that isn't theirs. From an ethical standpoint, assessors must remain objective. Their credibility depends on separating evaluation from ownership. From a professional standpoint, clear role definition protects everyone involved. The assessor provides structured, evidence-based risk ratings. The manager determines what to do with that information. So here's the takeaway. In tree risk assessment, the tree assessor identifies and communicates risk. The tree manager decides what to do about it. Know your role, document your role, stay in your lane. That clarity protects you, your client, and the trees you manage. If this helped clarify the distinction, let me know in the comments. And if you're serious about elevating your risk assessment practice, make sure you're subscribed.